Alright, so here's an update on the 2007 VX110. I had it running just fine last summer, and then my cousins came down and we took it out in the lake and it ran just fine at wide open throttle, but the idle was really bad. It was running on only 1 or 2 cylinders, and thought it was the ECU because the rectifier regulator had gone out, and I was not certain what had been smoked by overcharging. It was at 14 or 15 volts. So I swapped out the ECU thinking that was it. I checked the harness. I was getting good spark and good fuel. Changed the spark plugs. Had the injectors cleaned and flow tested. And I was not certain what it was because I had good compression in all 4 cylinders, so it had to be fuel or spark, and the timing was dead on. So I pulled the valve cover off, and we've got 2 exhaust valves on each cylinder and 3 intake valves on each cylinder. And I noticed that this rear cylinder, cylinder number 4, it had good compression, but when I would run the engine, I put the compression gauge on. Although the static compression was good, the running compression was low. So this cylinder was good, this cylinder was good, this cylinder was good, and this one was like half, which means that in some way the volumetric efficiency of the cylinder was lower than the rest of them. So even though it would compress and get the pressure I wanted, there was something to do with either timing or something was stuck open. So I take the valve cover off, I take the bucket out, or take the camshafts out, take the bucket off, and notice that the little shim, which I've got one right here, was completely smashed. This is actually the one. The shim, as you can see, has a little bit of damage on it. Let's see if I can get it to show you. You can kind of see it. And what had happened was this keeper somehow came loose because the valve got stuck underneath the bucket, but not in the right place, which is the reason it got smashed up. This was damaged, and so were the keepers. So the valve, the exhaust valve in cylinder number 4, one of them was not closing all the way and it was sticking. So I put a new shim in, checked the clearances, everything else, it was all good. Put new keepers on it, and then tapped on it and confirmed that the valve is not sticking anymore. This is a common issue that's on these MR1 engines, which is that the water enters from the engine, and there's a water jacket inside this exhaust. This is actually a 2-piece. There's another coupler on the inside, so the exhaust flows through the inner coupler, and between that coupler and the one you see right here, there's a water jacket. This goes out to your telltale, and the water does not mix with the exhaust until you get over here on basically what's called the stinger. Then it goes in the water box, which acts as basically a bong that helps dampen the noise, and then goes into a resonator and such. What happens though is the water sits in the water box when you shut the engine off, and if you don't rev the engine once you're out of the water to blast as much water out of the water box as you can, the humidity inside this warm exhaust, when the temperature drops, the moisture from the water box condenses on the back of the valves and causes them to corrode, which next time you start it up, you might have a stuck valve. So the common trick for this is you pull the valve cover off, pull the cams off, and hit them with a wooden dowel and a mallet to free them up. Anyway, so that said, here it is running. All fixed and ready to go.